OpenAI just rolled out a new model for image generation within ChatGPT, and it is crazy how much better it is for us print-on-demand sellers. You can get detailed, accurate images put directly on a transparent background, and all this just comes with a normal subscription to ChatGPT. So we're going to put this model to the test with print-on-demand in mind. The first feature we are going to go over is using image references inside of ChatGPT. And the second will be using conversational language to adjust the images instead of having to rewrite our prompts every time. We will also stress test the text accuracy, and we will go through 5 different AI prompts and see what we can get. And we will be making those conversational adjustments along the way. So let's go ahead and jump into the first feature, which is using image references. Okay, so here we are in ChatGPT, and we have this as an image reference. We dropped it in here, and all we asked it for was creating an image on a transparent background, and we got this. And as you can see, when we hover over it, it is transparent, but we can download it and test, and I already have it prepared over here. And this software automatically puts a border behind it, but we can drop the border and you can see it is transparent. Okay, so here we are doing it side by side so we can see the differences. This foot is not a foot. This is no longer a skull. The way this skull is looking is similar, but not the same. We lost some detailing on the gi here. So it's obviously not perfect when you're giving it such a generic open-ended prompt, but for the most part, that's not what we're going to be doing. But I think that it's a good spot to start the testing. Okay, so this was image reference test 2. We used another simpler prompt here, and let's zoom in on the details to see how good of a job it did with this image reference. Okay, so we have this somewhat disturbing image here, and then we make it even more disturbing by turning it into a raccoon. If you look at this, this is a really interesting, awesome, stylistic recreation. So we've got the bow in the woman's hair, we've got the bow in the raccoon's hair. They have a similar facial expression. It's really interesting how well this did. But if we drag over the green background, we see that it didn't truly make a punched out partial image. I would have preferred the white to stay inside here and here and here, or have all of the white everywhere get punched out. But that's not really what happened in this image. So how good was the transparency? Not that good. We're still going to have to process this background. Okay, so here we are with a slightly different take using the same background image as a reference. Let's go ahead and check whether or not we have any artifacts or places where the background was failed to be removed. And we do. We have white here, and it's obviously not perfect. However, this is still going to be a relatively easy to process background. It did save us some steps. It got most of it. And if we simply did a color overlay to make it all black, that would be enough to make this a usable image. And as an aside, I needed to do this second command to say it needs to be transparent because I left that part out of the original prompt. So make sure that you include that. Okay, so I promised you a text stress test of this AI image generator. And what I did was, instead of using phrases that give the AI context, I just asked for a dump of different Gen Z words and sayings. There are over 90 of these things, and I'm integrating it into a very simple design that could theoretically go on a t-shirt. So let's jump into that. Okay, so this is what I dropped into ChatGPT. It looks really ugly, so let's look at it over here. And we have make me a t-shirt design that says, if you don't say, in bold letters at top, and you're a boomer at the bottom with the following words. And then I put a huge list of those sayings. So let's go ahead and zoom in on this output that we got. And we made it a transparent background, right? Same kind of deal. But let's go jump into what kind of accuracy we're getting here. So I see a random comma here, one misspelling, two misspellings, a tiny bit of artifacting here, a tiny bit of artifacting here, here. These all look to be very close to spelled correctly. Here's another one. This is supposed to be an H. So out of the 100+ words that we asked for on this image, that's just a CSV list with no context clues, we got probably 95% plus correct spelling. And that's pretty exciting because it's making ChatGPT be a legitimate option for pursuing text-based design. Okay, so before we get started looking at the actual prompt examples, I thought it would be fun to kind of show you what the old Dall-E 3 model is doing and how the first attempt looks every time we use the new model. So all of these here are the first attempt inputting the exact same prompt that I used in this Dall-E 3 here. So if we bump in, I did ask for a transparent background, so it gave me a fake transparent background, which I found a little bit funny. But we've got this highly detailed, vibrant design, and that's something that Dall-E did a pretty good job at. But what it did not do a good job at is spelling. But now we've got this new model, and it's doing a much better job of the spelling. It followed the prompts appropriately. I believe that the prompt said to put it underneath, which it did, and it created a silhouette, which is what I asked for. So here is a preview of the other prompt, and then this is what we got over here for the first generation. We will fix that pink background later on in the video using conversational prompts with ChatGPT. Okay, here's another side-by-side comparison. It even punches out the black that would usually be in there for the space helmet. First iteration on Dall-E 3 and first iteration on the new model. And here is the last one I'm going to show. And this is Dall-E 3 and this is the new generation. And again, we will be fixing the issues with conversational prompts. So we're going to do a quick scroll through this ChatGPT so that you can see kind of what it's looking like right now. We're dropping these prompts and we're getting our outputs. They're on transparent backgrounds. We will run this green background to show that we don't have too many artifacts, if any, in these prompts that are not using image references. So as we go through, we are seeing that for the most part, when we are running a standalone prompt, it does a good job of fully removing backgrounds with the exception of this kind of wonky pink background here. However, that was kind of our own fault because we put in the background is a vibrant pink. So we threw a background on there with our prompt and then we tried to make it transparent and that just confused the AI. So let's go ahead and punch in here and see what some of these images look like in greater detail. So it looks like this prompt spelled everything correctly. It's my own fault, but I wish I didn't put that comma there. There's a tiny bit of artifacting here, but really this is a strong design output for a first go round. And if you're curious what the prompt is, here you go. You could pause the video if you want to read it, but it did do pretty much exactly what we were hoping for the prompt to do. Okay, so here's example 2. You can pause if you want to read the prompt. And here is the output we got, which is pretty decent, but it does have this pink background that it looks like a partially removed background because we asked for it to be transparent, but at the same time, we asked for there to be a background that is vibrant pink. So that was my mistake. So let's go ahead and correct that with some of these conversational adjustments that ChatGPT is supposed to be able to do for our images. Now, I didn't like how this unicorn looked like a male adult. This is a design that would be better if it were a female child because that's the target audience of the unicorn niche for the most part anyway. So we went ahead and asked for it to take out the pink background and to make the unicorn a female child unicorn. And here we are with clearly a female child unicorn instead of an adult male unicorn. And while we might want to change the color scheme depending on how vibrant we want it to be, this is a pretty solid output, and it did exactly what we were looking for. So obviously, at least some of the conversational prompts are doing an amazing job. Okay, so here we are. Here's example 3. If you want to read the prompt, you can pause it once again. So let's punch in and see what we got here for the astronaut design. So here we are, we've got all these little speckles and stars, and it looks great. We have a typical AI problem here where we don't have all the fingers on the glove, but I don't honestly think that's a deal breaker in this exact design. And the background's transparent. These are clearly planets. This is clearly an astronaut. We even have transparency in the helmet, which is something that I like. Okay, so in the unicorn one, we asked for a fairly simple set of adjustments. We removed the background conversationally with ChatGPT, and then we asked for the unicorn to become a child, a female child specifically, but I wanted to test something that requires outside information. So if you've been in the merch space or just alive and near children anytime in the past 5 years, then you've probably seen this dabbing thing. There are kids doing dabbing, whatever, and it's all over print on demand as well. So let's see if ChatGPT understands what to do with this outside reference. And here we are with the adjustment that ChatGPT made, and this is quite frankly pretty impressive to me. We've got the dabbing, so that's pretty cool that we can ask for a pop culture kind of reference, and it does a pretty good job of that. Okay, so here we are once again with another example prompt, example number 4 here. So we've got this here, this is misspelled, and the phrases in the prompt are not showing up perfectly. So let's go ahead and ask ChatGPT to fix it conversationally. Here we go. Just to confirm, it says, rolling with my homies, try to generate the design with that text. And here we are with its adjustment, which is fairly solid. It understood what we were trying to do. For some reason, this prompt gave ChatGPT a little bit of trouble, and the text, while it is spelled correctly, does not look that aesthetically great. But, points for trying. It at least understood what to fix. So if we were willing to sit through multiple generations of this image, it would probably end up with a usable output. Okay, so here we are in example number 5. Let's make it so we can see the whole prompt. Okay, here we go. You can read that if you want to. And here is what we got out of our initial generation. Now, OpenAI has already talked about the fact that a lot of their images are getting cropped. And we've already seen that a couple of times. And here it's fairly significant, right? We have no idea that even says Chihuahua. And we have cut off images on the ears. So there's real issues with this, but maybe we can figure out a way to work around that. So we went ahead and told ChatGPT what the problem is, and it didn't change anything. So we had to be more specific about what we wanted to do, because ultimately AI is not nearly as smart as we think. So telling it to fix something and not giving it the way to fix it makes it a little bit harder for it to do its job. So what I did was I told ChatGPT to shrink down the design in order to make it less likely to be cropped. And that did fix the issue of the cropping. If you look at how big it is in the size of the rectangle, it is significantly smaller. It doesn't take up the whole rectangle. However, it is at least not getting cropped out anymore. But I was not satisfied with this image, so I asked ChatGPT to do some things to improve it because we lost a lot of the detail. And something I noticed when we changed the prompt is that they filled in the color black for the sunglasses, and I kind of liked it being the masked out transparent background color, so it would use the color of the shirt, right? Like it did in the previous iterations. In fact, they cut out all of the places that would have been black, and I really like that as a design element. So I told it the problem, and I told it I preferred the sunglasses to have transparency, and I asked it to make those adjustments, and it did terribly. Honestly, it misspelled it, so we added an issue. At first glance, I thought that maybe it had done what I asked for. However, the transparency isn't actually there within the sunglasses. So it also did not add any extra detail to this dog's face, right? No extra details. So it appears that ChatGPT does not yet understand what we mean when we ask for something to be masked out or to change elements to be transparent. Or at least that's how it worked in this test. And I did it several times behind the scenes and I still could not get it to work. So maybe one of you has had more success than I have, but that's just what I found in my experience here. Okay, well, I hope that you found that helpful. I'm pretty excited with the future of where OpenAI is taking ChatGPT and its image generation technology. But OpenAI and ChatGPT are not the only game in town. In fact, Ideogram just released its 3.0 model, and I have to say that the results are really good, and I'm very excited about that. In the next couple of days, I'll put the video right here. Until then, check out whatever YouTube is recommending to you, and I will see you in that video.